Hello, everyone. Hello.
Yo, is my mic working?
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
Oh, sweet. Yeah, man. Hey.
All right. We've got people coming in. First of all, welcome everyone to the first MetalHeads AMA with
Whew.
our. I know you hate this, but welcome our.
Oh, you're gonna say it.
I'm gonna say it. Supreme Architect Jarold Sng.
Yo.
Jarold, come on.
Supreme Architect sounds like it's like a fast food, um, like a supreme meal, like a burger set. But yeah, hey everyone. Thanks so much for listening in. I think this is like I've done interviews and I think like conversations, but I don't believe an AMA, so it's gonna be fun.
Is
Hope
it
so.
flattering? Is it flattering?
Yeah, super. I mean, obviously, I hope like I can share a bit more. I mean, I think honestly, the Discord channel has been so insane.
Yeah. Did you
Yeah,
did
you
you
might
expect?
notice.
Did you ever expect that we would reach these numbers? We have what 11,000 metalheads collectively.
Yeah, even the fact that using the term metalhead is kind of like as part of daily as a daily conversation is insane because this was something that I think it, for the longest time it was only something I cared about. But yeah, like it's crazy how fast it grew, man. Like when we just launched the channel and
Yep.
there was like genuine excitement over it, and I had a lot of friends that came up to me and personally and said like, "Oh shit, you're doing one of these things," and it was pretty sick.
We have 24 people listening in. I'm sure there will be more. Let's see. How's everyone doing? I'm looking at both the AMA question text channel and general chat. So, yeah, send Gerald some love. Let's see.
I'm afraid to load up the chat. Let me see. I'll take a
No,
peek.
it's all positives. It's all positives. Don't worry.
Sweet, that's good. Yeah, I make edgy art, but my skin is relatively thin, I think. Um, yeah, so that's a lot of hearts. It's surprisingly a very it's like
For now, for now,
yeah, for
yeah,
now,
we don't
yeah.
know what's gonna happen as
Yeah,
we
that's
go
true.
along with this AMA.
Yeah, I'm gonna switch off the chat screen. Yeah. But dude, let's yeah, maybe we'll wait for I don't know.
Yeah,
I
well,
have no
just
idea how many people is gonna trickle in, but we could just talk a bit, I suppose.
yeah, we'll just wait for about 5 minutes, and then
Mm-hmm.
before we
Mm-hmm.
begin the AMA, for now, let's just. Well, I have questions for you of my own.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Yeah.
So let's start with that. For anyone's listening, first of all, what inspires you, Gerald?
Oh, we talked
That's
about
what. Yeah,
this,
we
dude.
talked about this. You hate
You said
this
like
question.
we wouldn't do this question. Mm.
No, no,
Um,
no. Seriously though, well, what? Well, you've been working on this IP for several years now, right?
yeah. Like I it's kind of obvious, I suppose, when if I say it, like, but I do love James Cameron's Terminator. I mean,
Ah, okay.
it's quite obvious. Like the moment I say it, it's all over the pieces. I've like I've always had this long term love and fascination for skulls and skeletons and
Yeah,
um
clearly, yeah.
yeah, it's quite obvious, right?
Yeah,
But
it's a
it feels
very
like
yeah. I see the motif. Yes.
yeah, it's I remember because I went to art school, so we study anatomy and everything, but
Hmm.
um, so like going beyond just the edginess of it, right? Like early on, it's obviously just like, oh, skulls are cool, they're edgy, like Ghost Rider, rah, and all that, right? But I've always loved the fact like that, if you find an attractive person on the street, is it's not because of their skin, it's their skull. Like it's the one that forms their face. We'll all be
Interesting.
like lumps of flesh without it. So
So when people say, oh, what do you see in what do you notice about a person first? Some people would say their smile, their eyes, but you say their skull.
Yeah.
So it's very interesting. Yeah. So you mentioned James Cameron's Terminator, right? So that's what informed your art. Is that what you're saying? That's what you're getting to.
I mean, it was like the first one that I guess like had that perfect blend of hard sci-fi and just good old fashioned like 80s edginess, right? But I love the idea that you could go without the meaty parts.
Yeah.
And I think that informed a lot of my work later on, like that idea of machinery as a part of us, and just the beautiful shape of skulls, essentially.
Very concerning, but I get what you're trying to say.
Yeah, at one point I was shopping for one. I was really looking for one. I have replicas.
A real skull?
Yeah. They're like yeah. I'm pretty sure, like, it's probably not a good thing to bring it up in this conversation because I don't know. Someone's gonna track down my address and send me something.
Yeah, all 11,000 metalheads figure it out. Yeah.
But I did have a friend who gave me a monkey skull, and that was really nice. So, like a real one. It was
a real
cleaned
one.
And yeah, it was cleaned and bleached, and it's gorgeous. It's very nice. I have other replicas. There was one in bronze. I have one cast in bronze, and that's really nice.
Interesting, very interesting. I didn't know this, but it makes sense for sure. Yeah.
Yeah, looking back, uh, maybe that explains like how the friends I have as well. Maybe.
Yeah, I'm not gonna go there. I'm not gonna try to psychoanalyze you and figure out what went wrong. I don't want to say what went wrong either, but let's just leave it at that. The only thing we that needs to be said is that the art that you create is awesome.
Thanks, man.
You know, that's just and I don't know. I can't exactly put into words what your art is. So how do I describe your art? You know, that's what I want to say. Like your style. What style you gravitate towards? You know, I'm not an artist, but you know, I can at least tell what good art is.
This feels like such a Bane moment, right? No one knew me until I put on the mask or something like that. Like I'm generally just, I don't know. I just make the pictures. Obviously there's like a heavy tech undertone.
Yeah.
I mean, I can only speak for MetalHead because I'm an industry person, so I do work for other companies, other games, and all that.
Yeah.
But when it came to MetalHead, I think it was like the first time where I kind of just said to myself that, okay, so just to give some context, our station is like like the go-to site if you're an industry professional or if you want to be an artist in the industry.
Yeah.
And I remember when it came to MetalHead, like I just told myself like, fuck art station, you know, like just fuck it, like who cares if no one like cares about it? Like just make something that you really like. And because I think I was working in the field for like quite some years, and I just wanted to make something that I personally would enjoy, and I didn't really care about anyone else except myself for those few pieces, and I just maybe that's the style. It's just something that I really wanted to see.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. But what prompted you to finally just reveal this thing to the world? You know, because you've been working on this for a while. Was it because of the fact that NFTs are now this huge thing, or were you planning to save it for a video game, an animation? So what was the process behind that?
I mean, my background was working in video games.
Yeah.
And essentially what we do is like in video games we make pictures for a toy, and the video game is essentially a toy. And I worked in toys later as well. I designed collectibles, I designed statues for other games or other IPs, and then later I kind of viewed Metalhead as just this story and this thing that I wanted to see happen, uh, so that me as a consumer, like, I would buy the toy, I would play the game, I would watch the film. So as the NFT, honestly, I was rather hesitant with NFTs at first because I didn't really see something that excited me personally. I mean, there's a lot of good ones now, but at the early stages, I didn't really get it, honestly speaking.
Yeah.
I think it started to change when one in particular I thought was nice was the Galaxy Eggs. Mechaverse I thought was pretty cool. But I guess I started to see like a movement, I suppose, or maybe it's just a natural, uh, what's the word? Inflation.
Inflation.
Oh yeah, yeah, I call it inflation. Yeah, like of where you just have to make the pieces more vivid and
photorealistic. Yeah, just like what MetalHeads is. Yeah.
Yeah, and I thought like, okay, maybe that would be cool. I mean, if I always viewed the metalheads not so much as artworks, they're real products to me. Like I want every one of them on my desk, as little figures or busts, and I think NFT is like to some degree like that is the idea. It's owning something. Um, well, crypto in general is like that's the idea, right? It's like true ownership of content. And if I've been selling toys and selling games in my career professionally, I guess this is something that's like a natural evolution to it.
Because now this is something that's you, right? It's
Yeah.
You're the brains behind this. You're the artist. This is all you. So how does that feel? That knowing that you're not working for a on another IP. This is your IP. How does that feel?
Well, I wouldn't say it's all me. I mean,
well, of
that's
course,
very nice of you to say. Yeah,
there are we have other collaborators, but ultimately, it's all down to you. If there was no Jarold, there would be no Metalheads, right? So you can give yourself give yourself a little pat on the back. That's fine.
Gotcha. I don't know. I mean, like the Metalheads is really just again, it's my artistic escape. So I'm doing it for myself, honestly. It's just I'm making pictures I want to see.
And that's fine. That's fine.
Yeah.
Sometimes just an artist needs to create something for themselves. That's just you, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Right. So we have 39 people.
Hi,
everyone.
That's a good amount. Yeah.
There we go. We have quite a few questions. Let's see. AMA. Shall we start with some questions? What do you think?
Yeah. Yeah. I think we'll be milking it at that point. It's a good crowd.
All right. Let's see. First question we have from Tau777. When will the hidden race be announced? So they're obviously talking about the the hidden. Well, it's not hidden. It's just
it's even on the website. Like there's little glitchy thing. Yeah.
Well,
let me just put it this: like it's in the works. It'll be released when it's ready, for sure.
Ooh, very mysterious.
Well, I'll just put it this way: like you might notice a pattern where Isengard is obviously hinting at something, and Vapor, they're all like, I don't want to use the word regions, but they're all hinting at some kind of culture or subculture. And I'm, you're gonna see a lot more because there's so many sects and regions that I want to create.
and they're all in the works. No word,
Yeah.
I'm sure there are a lot of questions about what exactly is Eternal City? What does it look like? What's the belief system? Because we have right now we have four gangs. The Ashikaga, we have the Vapor Gang, we have the Unclean, we have the Isengard. So there's a lot in the works, right? And I'm excited too, as to what you're gonna come up with next. So
yeah, me too. I mean, I can't wait for the community to see it. I mean, even this first four was handpicked because I think they were fitting for the first drop, and you might read into that first drop any way you like it. But
yeah, that was
drop number one. Yeah.
That's kind of what I'm wondering about also. How soon was it in the production process that you decided on these four gangs in particular?
I knew that I wanted to do something Japanese for sure. Yakuza theme. I don't think it's some. I think there was one piece in my older set. So the MetalHeads, it is basically my escape, and I take retreats essentially, right, from production work, and I will take a weekend and do a piece of Metalhead, and it's kind of like traveling. Like, where do I want to fly to next, right? And I remember doing one cyber samurai piece, and it seemed to struck a nerve personally, and I think that was one that I knew I really wanted to play with, and I think that kind of set the ball rolling. I needed to make sure that if this was going to be a drop, there will be a nice contrast of cultures per se. I mean, they're all like machine beings or people that have sacrificed flesh for metal and for augments, but I don't want them to look like a set of Terminators. They had to have some kind of identity that was beyond the augmentations. And
they're all
that
very
was something.
distinct, yeah.
Yeah.
All very distinct, yeah.
And
yeah, carry on.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, I was just gonna say, like, I was doing a bit of homework with the NFT space, and I had a friend even recommend, like, you gotta really look at them as profile pictures, avatars, things like that, and because I think at one point I was kind of viewing them as how I normally view art production. It's just like, okay, if this was a game or a film, what would it need, and et cetera, et cetera. But I think the moment I started seeing them as representations, digital representations of someone, then that's when I started to look at, okay, like, how can I give like a nice range, but not, but still have like future work that I could do that people would still get excited for.
Yeah, because
you could not reveal all the cards essentially.
Yeah, because you could have easily just have an entire collection of just Ashikaga, right? But
yeah, you know what? That probably would have been better. That was a mistake. Yeah. There was a bit of like, it's a false ambition as well. And I think this is some idiotic sense that I thought I could pull it off. It seems to be working out, but it's extremely difficult. I kind of wish I just milked it, but yeah, like we have four, right? Like there's four major gangs.
Yeah. And now you can't turn back the time. You got to go all the way.
Yeah,
right. Yeah.
And then there were been people asking about the fifth one. It's like, oh wow, thanks. Like I gave you four, and like, it's just, yeah. But it's a good thing, I suppose. Yeah. I do like that. I mean, I love the vast variety of places we could go with this IP, because I think that the foundation of what I like is really just the augmentations, right? Like the idea that you would like that. Like, I mean, we are doing it to some extent. Like everyone in this chat, for whatever reason or the other, is using a profile picture, not their own. Well, I think one person is using their own face, but to some degree, we're all wearing some kind of augment, right? It's a cybernetic or digital augment anyway, um, and it basically creates such a fertile ground for crossovers. Essentially, I want to do so many things really with the brand.
And we will.
Yeah,
Yeah, we will. Yeah, we will. So moving on to another question, we have, let's see, Coffin Boys. Will there be any collaboration with influencers or NFT enthusiasts? It will be great if we are getting more exposure. Yeah, we are.
Yeah.
We are. Yeah, that's.
And thanks for thinking on our behalf as well, because you said like exposure for the NFT itself. Yeah.
Oh, I just realized Bull has joined the stage.
Hey, hello, Bull.
Hey, what's up? Hi, everyone. I'm just here to, in case there's any more technical questions, but I would love for the chat to be more focused on our creator today, Jared.
He is the supreme architect after all. Yes.
He is.
Yeah. Let's see.
Yeah, so I think we didn't answer the question, but oh yeah, I guess you kind of did, right? But
we
yeah,
definitely.
Did. Yeah.
The answer is yes.
Yeah,
and there will be more in the down the line. You know, we want more exposure. We love the attention, don't we? That just makes it sound.
And it's a very flexible thing as well, because again, it's augments and it's this cybernetic beings, right? So it's not a very stretch to find us linking up with someone.
Let's see. We got a bunch of questions. I'm just. Well, how long does it take for you to create a single piece of art?
Yeah, it varies really. So my process is I would essentially build parts like per gang, because I want each gang to feel like they have their own sense of how they would engineer and construct their augments. And I found it like more natural to build the parts first, because essentially that's how the gangs would shop themselves. Like they wouldn't buy a whole suit; they would gradually manufacture, tweak, modify augments as they go, and so it's really hard to say, because I think once I built up this shop, essentially like a chop shop, right, of like parts, then the process became much quicker, because at that point it was just I'm just acting like a kid in a Lego store, where I'm just merging parts together. I mean, in the industry we just call it kit bashing, right? So anyone who's a concept artist, or learning the concept art, like, you would probably be very familiar with this term. But what you do is you build up this comprehensive library, essentially, of parts, and then those parts can be combined to form new designs. And so yeah, a very long answer for like I don't know. It's fast and slow. Definitely not easy. But yeah, I don't really have a fixed number.
Gotcha. This has been answered before. What 3D software do you use to create the MetalHeads?
Yeah, I think that's the one that I saw, right?
Yeah,
Blender,
yeah. This one's about the team. How did you assemble the rest of the team? When did they get on board, and how did you select them? And why did they join?
Yeah, I mean, I didn't assemble the thing. The team was assembled, I guess, organically, or cybernetically, if you will. But
source code, yeah.
I think if I were to look back, I know Grim was a collector. Grimlord was a collector, right? And I was floating around in the art sphere, just posting my stuff. And I think somehow we connected, and we just started talking about where we could take this story of mine. And I think from there, just people came up from the woodwork, I suppose. Like we started to collect a group of individuals that really love the idea. They love the story and the world and the aesthetics of it. And we kind of all figured out like it almost occurred like a piece of production that you might find in a game development or a film development where everyone was clear what their roles were, where their expertise were, and we just kind of ran with it, you know.
And do you think this would have materialized if it wasn't for the NFT boom?
Well, you know, like things I slept through it, so I didn't even knew there was an NFT boom, you know. Maybe, I suppose. I don't know if you can make anything substantial if you're just thinking about the now, though.
Right.
Yeah.
Because there are other plans like video games, webtoons, like you just mentioned.
Yeah. And that's exactly it. So.
Right. I get you.
Dude, is this derailing though? Am I? Because I'm like, yeah, just
no, it's just
yeah,
tangents. That's how it is. Let's see. Let's move on to another question. This one. Well, let's see. MetaDave follows you on Instagram and ArtStation, and he's done that for a while.
Thank you.
And he's seen the progression of MetalHeads. Well, and what is your future plan for MetalHeads IP post NFT sale? We've talked about this several times. Yeah,
Yeah, I mean, but it is a valid question. But yeah, like it like you said, it's all the stuff we talked about.
Yeah.
But I think like what's for sure, I want to make, like put effort in is making sure like the lore and the vision of it is clear, and it's exciting, because really like this was again like a escape. It was a creative escape. It was a bit of a fever dream mixed in, and every year, because it was something that was in the works for quite some time. Like every year, I just kind of put a little bit into it, and we change right over time. You get more experiences, and you just learn more things about the world. And what I want to make sure, like in post launch, is like that we at least have something that's a bit more concrete.
Yep.
More forged and steel. Yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe not concrete, but steel. Yeah.
All right. Let's see. There's just a bunch of questions that I'm just trying to figure out which one we. Where do you see MetalHeads in 5 years' time? So this one has a timeline.
Yeah, this is like an interview question, isn't it?
Yeah.
But you see yourself in 5 years.
Yeah, married, with a dog and a house by a beach. Yeah.
What would be a good answer? Like, probably in your seat, huh? Like, if you're in an interview, like that would be such a chat move.
5 years, yeah, that's
yeah. I don't know. Like, I don't think I want to know. I mean, I'm very much a
figure out as you go.
I would say build as I go. I mean,
build as you go, right?
Yeah. I kind of view the brand as it's more like building an open universe where I know I definitely want to focus purely on the foundation of it so that other collaborators and creators can contribute in it. Like to give a nice example, like maybe What If recently, or just the Star Wars stories, right, where they collaborated with the Japanese animation studios.
Yeah, for the anime, yeah.
And I mean, this is not a new thing, because for me during my time, what really hit me hard was the Animatrix when it came out.
I had a box set, yeah.
Oh shit, no way.
Yeah, I had a box set, yeah. I have no idea where it is now, but if I kept it like an NFT, it would be worth a lot of money now, yeah.
But yeah, that was like, like Matrix was amazing, right? But the Animatrix is like, oh, like I mean, especially for me, it's like I've never seen animation like that.
That counts as
Let alone
cyberpunk, right?
pretty much,
Yeah,
yeah, yeah.
right.
That's very much it. I mean, and it was visceral, it was stylistic, and you could sample like the flavors of each of the creatives that came on board, but you knew like it was within the same world, the same universe. um, and I really liked that. I think that really struck a chord with me, and and this is, I guess, like kind of like where the dilemma is with metalheads. It's if we make it too structured, it's going to be like that whole fan wars of what's canon and what's not. Um, or if we make it too open, then what is metalheads, right? So I'm trying to find like a nice balance narratively where I suppose maybe that's why like Eternal City was something that I really honed into, because I mean it's within the name, right? It's eternal, like it's coast to coast, shore
Filled
to
with
shore.
possibilities, yeah.
Yeah. But it's a very clear possibility. It's kind of like
Yeah,
a
yeah.
shitty cyberpunk dystopian possibility. But it's still a playground for you to tell the stories that you want to tell. Are you a vigilante? Are you a rogue person, a rogue agent? Are you working for the Ashikagas? Are you working for the Ashikagas, but you're secretly infiltrating them for the Vapor Gang? Like these are the things I hope like we could talk about a bit more. And I think what I really want to do is just set up a really nice premise, and maybe leave it at that. I still wish like, well, for example, like RoboCop is one of the films I really enjoy, and the idea of like OCP, like this great corporation that makes this machine policeman. Um, it was like two films by Verhoeven, and then a bunch of other stuff later. One film and a TV series. Uh, but like the Dark Horse comics, like really took it to the next level, right? And this was like, um, shit, I'm gonna probably mess up the name, but I'm pretty sure it's Frank Miller who wrote, who's the writer for it. But it the world that they set up sparked a lot more stories about how Detroit was in their setting, right? And
Mm-hmm.
what kind of crime rings would be available to that. And I just love that idea that you could create a playground. You might have what we might say like a main story of this four major gangs fighting each other for supremacy in the Augment Wars and the Source Code Wars. But then I'm really excited to even explore the smaller stories, Augment Runners, things like that. But yeah.
Yeah, the people affected by the wars, et cetera. There, like again, there's so many. You describe it as a playground, So yeah, I'm on board.
Yeah.
I'm on board. Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's see. How long do you expect me? How long do you expect to have the next step when all mintings are sold and revealed?
Sorry, can you say that again? Like there's.
How long do you expect the next step to be when all the mintings are sold and revealed? This is a question for David, I think. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, you guys hear me?
We have a special drop, right, David? I mean, that's definitely the one that's in the works that we've announced.
Yeah, I guess that's where most of the questions came from. What's the fifth gang, right? So without revealing too much, I we do believe that the NFT goes beyond just the art. Of course, the art plays a very important role, but we do build a lot of utility around it, right? We want the NFT owners to have a role in this universe building where they get to vote for the direction of the universe, and for that they will be eligible for like some mystery drops. So that's the basically the immediate next steps. Of course, we are also in the vision channel. You will be able to see a bit more on our roadmap, where we are like Jared I think mentioned earlier. We are building this whole universe, just trying to build as many content as possible, whether it's in the form of animated series, in the form of comics. Yeah, I guess that answers the questions.
Mm-hmm. I hope it does. Sounded comprehensive to me, so I hope that answered the question.
But yes, like side note, like there are compliments for your voice, and there's a lot of thirsty boys for sure.
Thirsty boys. I appreciate it. Thank you very much. Hello. But it's not about me. This isn't about me. This is about Jarold. All right.
You do have a very nice voice, though. I have to say, like it's like a radio voice. Kind of how we used to say it, right? I'm like almost trying to drop my octaves a bit lower just to try and catch up.
I'm bad at taking compliments, so I'm just gonna ignore that. Let's see. How did the idea for Metalheads first come about? What was the first moment of inspiration or a aha moment that made you realize you had something interesting to offer with Metalheads?
Yeah, I mean, okay, so we have time. So the long version is like I was an art director at the studio, worked my way up, and was there for like 6 to 7 years, and I felt like it was a good time to, I just go on my own and see whether I had any value in the industry, I suppose. So I suppose that was the year where I did a lot of freelancing. So I worked with a lot of people, and it goes back to that moment where I just told myself, like, hey, I should just make something that I personally really like. And it was essentially a rather childish analysis of what I liked. And, like I like skulls and I like machines. And so let me just smash them together and see what happens. And I don't think there was ever a time where I felt like it was worth like to anything, to anyone. Because like I said, it's very much a escapist piece of artwork. But surprisingly enough, I think it garnered more attention than any of my other pieces. That was really nice. I mean, it's really reassuring. I suppose the community, the art community at least, maybe could get a sense of it, that I was just trying to do something that I personally liked. But I'm also guessing like it wasn't like a bunch of dicks stuck on someone's face, right? It was like a rather...
I would hope so.
Yeah, when it's NFT drop, guys. Yeah, bunch of dicks. Like, but yeah,
it'll be sold for a 3M.
Probably more.
Yeah,
probably more. Yeah,
that's a price tag, a floor price. Yeah, stay tuned, everyone. That's a promise.
But yeah, it was. I mean, it's looking back, it's like, I mean, what's there not to like about like a robotic skull with glowing red eyes? Like it worked in the 80s, it's gonna work in the 2021s.
I mean, Terminator is still very popular IP, so yeah, you have something that
yeah. I mean, so Tim Miller did the last film, right? Dark Fate, or Fate of the Dark, or whatever. And I was at Blur. I was in LA, and I was at Blur Studios, and like he was in the library, but my friend said, "Don't go and say hi because he's not in a good mood." So I did see him from afar. I can say that it's probably the only time I'll ever see him. So I'm gonna hold on to that. Yeah. So let me brag.
You met him. Well, you didn't meet him. You saw him.
Yeah, I saw him. Yeah, good point. Yeah.
But you didn't speak to him.
No.
And it's gonna be a while before you get another chance because what's going on in the world.
Yeah, that's why we need augments, man.
Yeah, that's why. Yeah,
that's
so
what.
Can...
What? It's this is the 5 years time. Like I hope we all are augmented. That's the idea.
Interesting. Well, does that answer the question? I think
I'm not sure.
I think we we just kind of went off on a tangent, but you know what? We did. We answered the question.
Yeah, are you reading the room though? I mean, like, I mean, I'm just I want to be as like, I let me know if like if I should just not.
You know, I
speak
think
and
no,
just
I
answer the
think
question.
people like this approach. You know, where this isn't something that's rigid. It's a question. This is a genuine conversation between two guys on Discord. Let's see. Just going through the questions. Not a question, but cool art, bro.
Thanks,
Yeah.
bro.
With the extra time from the delay, what's the exact aim or plans you guys want to achieve? Like, what exactly do you want to touch up on, etc., during this extra time?
Yeah, good question. I mean, I was the one who requested it. The more I worked on it, like, there is a man. I'm probably gonna regret saying this, but when I viewed the NFT marketplace, right, it seemed to be some kind of a pattern where doesn't seem to be enough care in the pieces. I'm not saying that I'm 100% like it's gonna be all that, but I was hoping to let's just push the date back a bit so I could put more of that finishing touches to the pieces. Again, like I still view these pieces as all 4,888 of them as like individual pieces, right? And any extra time that I have is for me really, so I could make sure that I'm happy with them.
Good things take time, yeah.
Yeah, but I do understand. Like we're pretty much on schedule, but I did request for that little bump in the timeline so that I could put in the extra work. It has been a really crazy scramble, honestly, this past few weeks. Like I mentioned earlier, like my process is with building the parts, and I really want to make sure that the art is true to what I've established so far with the IP.
Well, whatever it is, it's gonna be worth it. Everyone.
Yeah, I mean, if you like the pieces that you see so far, I mean, it's because there is a lot of time put into them. But yeah, stay tuned. I mean, we're on track now. So once we go into that phase, and you see like the fruits of the effort.
We don't half-ass. That's for sure. That's our policy. This isn't a metalhead question, but Jarold, what is your favorite food?
Oh, nice. Yeah, we're getting the light questions now, which is awesome. I mean, some of these, like, again, this is like, it went from interviewing at a bank, 5-year projections. Now we're getting to the dating questions, which are nice.
Where do you see yourself in 5 years? What's your favorite food? Yeah. So what is your favorite food?
Oh, I don't eat, huh? That would be a good answer.
You don't
right?
eat, yeah.
But seriously, I do practice 1 meal a day though.
Really? Okay.
Yeah.
I didn't know that at all.
Yeah, Augments are fucking nice. I think I've been doing it for like 2 years, maybe a year plus. I started with intermittent fasting. I was doing 18/6 at first. It's such a nerdy scene, by the way. Like everyone has slangs and lingos, like Augments 18/6. Oh my god, you do 23/1, like that kind of a thing. But it's a pretty sick community, especially like on Reddit. And it's basically OMAD is like you just you eat 1 meal, and it's like your eating window. So I was so used to not eating for 18 hours and then just have a window where I eat in for 6 hours. It doesn't mean I eat for 6 hours straight. Yeah. It's just like meaning that's like the window you eat, and usually that's dinner time, and it tends to be like a steak with greens. Like you need your proteins, you need your greens. It's fuel, right? And if you put in bad fuel, it's just gonna mess you up. But yeah.
Interesting. Now you know
That's
about Jarold's dietary. Yes. Let's see.
You'll be in the trivia quiz.
Trivia quiz, yeah.
Next night. Trivia quiz, right? So remember that.
Let's see. This question goes to the team more than the artist. Do you guys have any marketing plans aside from social media such as Twitter and Instagram? I think it's great to have a plan to build up some hype, as I've noticed that the member count has remained stagnant at 11,000 members for a few days now.
Yeah, serious question.
Yeah, that's a question for Bull.
Yeah, I think we are definitely looking into working with like some influencers. But just to note that I think we are very happy that we've grown kind of organically so far. We really grow without any influencers or without any paid marketing, and we managed to reach this level. I think this mainly because NFT communities really spread the message spread through word of mouth like really quickly. So I think we have a good momentum going on. I know the NFT market is a little bit soft right now, but we do think that instead of trying to get influencers in and then the whole thing just goes to pump and dumps, right? We've seen with many other projects recently that paid a bunch of influencers, and then the hype was just like really, it was just like a very short period of hype, and the prices just rally really fast. But that kind of momentum, I felt that is not very sustainable. I do believe that the team that we have right now are really solid team where as long as we keep building, eventually the audience will come. But you answer the question.
Very diplomatic answer. Yes. Yeah.
Yes.
Very good.
That's why we are talking to a few influencers. Yeah, I mean, there's going to be more coming up over the next 1-2 weeks.
Awesome.
I mean,
and I think I feel like we should answer this also. Why our numbers have been a little stagnant. It also has to do with the fact that we've culled a lot of bots in the server. Yeah, there have been loads of bots. So that's all. That's one of the reasons. Yeah, you were saying, Jarold?
No, I was just gonna point out. Like I remember Tesla doesn't even have a marketing budget, right? That was like the whole thing. I mean, the goal is to build a solid product. So I'm on board with Bull's point. Like, if we just ramp up just because it's the time to ramp up marketing wise, then the chances of us getting a really good partner that actually believes in the brand, it's probably going to be slimmer. But I totally agree with the sentiment of the question. Obviously, it's just we're working on it for sure. But getting that right partner, it's so important.
100% agree.
And your support means a lot also. Everyone who has stuck around in the server, without you guys, this wouldn't have taken off. So, big thanks to all of you. Let's see. We've got a few compliments. Hi, Jarold. Just want to say your art is amazing. Hype for this project.
Thank you.
We've had this one's, hi, Jarold. What's your point of view on MetalHeads after a month from now?
What's my point of view on MetalHeads after a month from now?
After a month, yeah. So like we have the 5-year question, but we have one that's fairly recent.
Okay, just to jump in, I think generally like crypto guys suffer from this thing where everyone is a lot more short term. really. I mean, I've been in the industry for a while now. That people expect that they buy something and then by a week or by the next month they expect it to be delivered. Um, just wanted to assure everyone that it's gonna be a long journey. Like this whole MetalHeads universe building is going to be a long marathon.
A long marathon. Yep.
Well, I mean, for me, like 1 month from now, I hope like I'm going to see a lot of profile pictures changing. That's
MetalHeads,
definitely, yeah.
repping the gangs that they support. Yeah.
I'm really curious. I mean, I know everyone's been voting for like specific gangs, but because I see all of them. I mean, I have access to all of the gangs. Like, so maybe there's some things that you guys are not seeing because I'm kind of like, oh, you went for that. So I'm really curious by the end of it, like, what is the final tally? Am I right with my guesses in terms of which gang has more members than the other? But that's definitely something I'm very curious to find out.
It's like the Olympics, yeah. So let's see what happens by the end of it. Well, I don't want to say end because this is an ongoing thing. It's going to be long term, yeah. But a month from now, yeah, we hope to see a shift for sure, yeah. What else? Yeah, Jarold, what gang is your favorite?
No, I can't say that. That's like,
it's like
that's
picking
wrong.
your children, yeah.
Yeah. Like to be honest, like the gang that I really want to work on is the one that I'm saving up for.
Ooh.
Yeah. Yeah.
No spoilers. No spoilers.
Yeah. I'm not saying I'm giving you guys scraps or anything like that, but yeah, this like it's a for me it's a chasing the dragon. Like it's there's always this one that I want to work on, and it's probably in my source files already. But then there's another one that I want. So I personally like the unclean at the moment. If I had to choose, I don't think it's a popular one in the Discord, but I've always liked the idea of like Christianity, like Bible studies. Yeah, I like the lore. Maybe I shouldn't say lore.
Lore.
Ooh, that basically explains like where my position is. But I don't mean to disrespect, but I view all of them as lores, by the way. Yeah. But yeah, I mean, I like the mythos of it, right? And there's a lot of, talk of blood and flesh, and like you eat a piece of Christ, like that's pretty hardcore, like to like bring your kids in.
Metal.
Yes, pretty metal. It's just like an Ozzy Osbourne concert, like eat a piece of my flesh, like. And it's pretty hardcore, and I think it's always a fun topic. Obviously, I love Hellraiser. I love a lot of the older. You're gonna see me bring out a lot of film references. I have to say, Clive Barker, things like that. So I thought like the Unclean Gang was a really fun avenue at that because I don't think I've seen. Let's say, I've always viewed my approach to metalhead as the techno occult. I don't think I've mentioned this before.
No, you have not. Yeah.
Yeah, but like it was a theme that I really want to explore because the occult is, it's more religion and culture than it is science or technology. But why isn't there a techno version or a cyberpunk version of it? And so the Unclean is a very obvious play at that.
Yeah, I actually like the Unclean's backstory most. Yeah.
Nice. Yeah. Yeah, I probably should. Yeah, I'm gonna speak less about just talking about religion. I think that's like pretty loaded subject. Yeah, I could go on pretty long. Next question.
All right. Let's see. Was Yoshimitsu from Tekken one of your references or inspirations?
Dude,
for the
Yoshimitsu fucking stole from me, man. I mean, that's how I view it.
Oh, you're stepping on a lot of toes right now.
Yeah. No, I mean Yoshimitsu is kick-ass, but I think they only went the very metal version a bit later, right? In the Tekken line, like initially it was more. I don't remember him being as mechatronic, I guess. But no, like although he's cool, absolutely wonderful character design. I like Tekken. More of a dead or alive person, not because of the titties, but I just like the
it's
combat a bit
because
more.
of the titties.
Yeah, whatever. Yeah, I'm gonna appeal to all of like shows fans. Then. Yeah.
Sure. Let's see. Well, the NFTs have generic rarity score. Yeah,
Rarity
right.
score. Yeah,
There kind of is, no?
Yeah. I guess I'll try and answer this. I think yes and no.
How do we say
but,
without giving it too much away? That's the thing. Yeah, because we're kind of saving it as well. Yeah, but yes and no is an accurate answer. I think will.
Yeah. It's just we are slightly different in a way that I think most have seen that that there are so many base characters in MetalHeads, although there's only like 4,888 pieces. But there are so many base characters compared, like let's say we take Sneaky Vampire for an example, right? They probably work on one base characters and then just multiple different traits being exchanged. But MetalHeads, I think based on the reviews so far, we've seen that there's so many base characters and yeah, the rarity part will be very very interesting.
Yeah. I guess the most common generic trait's the skull, obviously, because that's the main foundation of it. But yeah, like what Bull said, like it's a very complex thing that we're trying to do right now.
All right. What is your favorite Malaysian food? So this is more specific, country specific.
Yeah, it's my most favorite Malaysian food.
Tough question.
Yeah, man. Every answer that you say, because you're picking one answer, is already blasphemous already, right? If you have to pick one. I'm trying to think like if I'm on a desert island and I had just one Grab order or one food Uber Eats order, right? What would I call up if I had a Malaysian option?
Well, you're having a lot of trouble with this.
I know. I'm
Comparison
kind of
to-
running the scenarios. Yeah.
Yeah. You're literally imagining yourself on a deserted island and just think about, oh, what's gonna be my last meal?
Yeah, you know, it probably has to be char kway teow, but from Penang. If you give me something from
We gotta explain to the people who don't know what.
from the
that
state
is,
of
yeah.
Penang. So
From
it's
the
like a
state,
fried flat noodles. You know, it's such a kick-ass dish, right? So the history of this fried flat noodles dish, like you have bean sprouts, a bit of cockles, small prawns, spring onions, bit of soy sauce, bit of magic, and it's like fried together in like NASA grade turbine jets, right? And essentially what you get is this charring on the noodles that are just incomparable to any kind of dish. And it was essentially a survival food because the fishermen of the country, like they created that dish because it was basically like kind of like just cheap and high in calories, insanely high in calorie. I use a calorie counting app, and it's like if you log that single like 100 grams in, it's like a nightmare, but it's so good. And it was so high in calorie because like they needed it to have energy to work, right? So yeah, look it up. Like probably someone has to type it out because there's no what's it like Germanic or English equivalent of it.
Yeah, I
fried
don't
flat
think so,
noodles
yeah.
doesn't cut it. Yeah,
Yeah,
fried
yeah.
flat noodles. And Penang's a state where I think it serves the best one. It's a
Interesting.
Malaysian state. Yeah.
Well, what then would be the char kway teow of Eternal City, if there is even an equivalent
My goodness.
food in Eternal City? Do people
Yeah.
even eat food anymore? You know.
You know, I was very interested in Soylent at one point. I have a friend in the States that he drank. Because he's from California, so he has a lot of it. Yeah, have you heard of Soylent before?
No, but I'm assuming it's a soy base.
Well, I think so. I mean, it's basically a powdered drink that supposedly has every form of nutrient that you need to sustain yourself. I'm pretty sure like BuzzFeed has done like I was on Soylent for 6 months and here's what happened, kind of a thing, like that kind of a thing. Right? And I have always viewed like that would be the future of food, just because like we would have overconsumed, just it would be extremely unsustainable. Like the 1% would be the ones that would spend just billions, right? Like raising a single cow and slaughtering it. And all of us would be consuming, like the middle upper class would be consuming some kind of clone beef. And then everyone else is just drinking a sludge. But you would never starve from it. But you just never enjoy it, right? Shit, what was the question again, honestly?
I think that we just like completely went off the rails, but I love it. Interesting. Now
the char kway teow of
right. Yeah, there we go. Yeah.
So Soylent, basically,
Soylent,
it'll be like a you'll probably get like a video implanted into your brain feed of you sitting down in what would be a fake stall serving like a digital render of a food, and you be like drinking from a straw because you'd be leaking from your mouth holes, or it would just be too risky. And then they'll probably just inject endorphins into your system, just make you feel like happy.
I was thinking everyone was just drinking grease, you know, and petrol. I don't know. Let's see. Moving on. From, forgive me if I butcher your name. It's Rochelle, Rociel. Who knows you? I'm assuming. Jarold, how's life? We miss you. Me, Rochelle, TJ, and Roos. And a bunch of fun emojis.
Yeah, those guys are great. I mean, they're awesome. It's been good. Yeah, it's been busy, but it's been good.
It's been good. Yeah, that's what we like to hear.
Sorry, like someone, like I think someone tagged me, but there was a person asking what's a mouth holes.
What's a mouth hole?
Yeah, I kind of said it off the cuff because it's because when you receive enough augments, it's strange that it's kind of I guess it's almost silly that it's like I'm there, but when you have enough augments, right? Especially if consumables is not such a big deal, like you don't really need your mouth tissue anymore, so you kind of have to just suck everything, through a straw, right? So there'll probably leakage.
Fan art. That's what we want to see. Some fan art of metalhead mouth holes. All right.
All right. So like just a quick derail, but I want to bring this up because in Pan's Labyrinth, Guillermo del Toro's Pan's Labyrinth, the main villain, he got his face cut open by one of the protagonists, and he kind of just roughly sewed it. And so I think she put a knife in his mouth, a la Dark Knight Joker, and then cut it, and so he took a shot of whiskey, but it kind of leaked all over the sides. I really love that. It's such a nice scene. But yeah, that's mouth holes.
Mouth holes.
Yeah.
Is that the correct vocabulary to describe?
I don't know because we already have one. The mouth hole, right? But
the mouth hole, yeah.
I guess holes. Yeah.
Just holes, yeah. Holes in general, we all have them. Moving on. Let's see. As an artist, this from Claire NFTW. As an artist, how has your practice matured over time?
Um, a lot. I mean, like I guess when I was a student, like I was basically just drawing for drawing's sake. But when you enter the industry and you work for people and you have expectations to deliver, it really changes the perspective of art. For the longest time, I didn't really call myself an artist because I think, by definition, an artist is generally creates for themselves. Um, I just viewed myself as a person in production because I wasn't necessarily creating something for me. I was helping the rest of the team, um, and I think that allows you to really, personally, I think that really allows you to maximize the tool set and the skill sets because it's a more outgoing way of producing pictures.
Hmm. So,
So yeah, I think sure. I don't know.
yeah.
Yeah. But again, okay, if I were to give maybe a more straight out answer, yes, like especially with 3D helped a lot. I mean, it allowed me to get certain visuals that I normally wouldn't be able to achieve in just drawing or painting. And with the things that I enjoy looking, like I said, like I want to create visceral pictures, and maturing in skill set in 3D helped a lot with that sense.
So, is there like a specific process that you abide to, or it's just kind of in the moment when you have that spark of inspiration?
No, I'm actually very rigid. I like to view art very much like a production line. It's rather systematic. Um, there is generally an inquiry process. It's either I'm talking to someone and trying to pick their brains, or I'm talking to myself. I mean, not talking to myself. I'm asking myself to, like what does this piece need? What solutions do we need to apply? And then, um, so I would say like, I've just gotten more organized over the years, and because of that, also become maybe a little bit more predictable with my work.
Hmm.
Good and bad, I suppose. Yeah.
Plankton is asking for a hint for a new clan, and also, are there female characters in Metalheads?
Yeah, man. I mean, I want it. I fucking want it. So there's a big hint. And for the fifth gang, what I can say is like it's not gonna look like the four for sure. I mean, that sounds cheap, I know, but like we've already covered a lot of ground with this first four.
Oh, you're just gonna leave it at that? Just like no,
No,
that's all you get. That's all you get.
And I got distracted because someone said like the female characters call them metal hoes.
Metal hoes. Okay. Not too bad. There's a worse way to go about that.
Oh my goodness.
Shall we move on from that before we let anything else slip? All right, Wesley's is asking, what did you design in Gears of War? So, talking about your previous works, yeah.
So I worked on Gears of War Remastered. That was, I think, it was called Some Edition. I can't remember. So essentially, that task was we took all of the assets from the first Gears of War, which I think is the superior Gears of War, but that's with a lot of bias. And we kind of like made everything next gen, essentially. Like everything was way more detailed, way more convincing. Like there was more fidelity that we could put in with the next gen systems for that. When it came to Gears of War 4 and Gears of War 5, I always confuse them because they kind of all look like the same after a while. But I was designing the infected DBs. So there was a robot in the game called DBs, and me alongside many other very talented concept artists were designing the infected DBs. And I believe sporadically here and there, some props, some game production, honestly, for concept artists. And I guess this was where Bull was talking about how NFT collectors tend to be a little bit maybe focused on the short term. Like almost everything I worked on has a 4 to 5 year lead time, right? Because when I start on it, it's like early in the pipeline, and I probably only will see the game in about 5 years' time. And probably by that time, everything has changed. So it's a really rare thing to see like your actual piece make it through all the way to the end. But yeah, for Gears, I was kind of that. In fact, the DBs, a couple of vehicles, a couple of environment pieces, and actually a statue that never happened. Yeah, yeah.
That's
a nice statue.
Insider information.
Yeah, really kick-ass statue of. Yeah.
Let's see. This from Chewy Pixels. Gerald, I'm also a 3D artist, so I have a few art nerd questions for you. What are your tools of choice these days? Ballpark figure, how long does it take to complete each metalhead?
Yeah.
Address the second question.
Yeah, but I guess if you're like a 3D nerd like myself, I mean, one thing I really love about Blender was the add-ons, right? Like essentially like Blender or stock is like a really good like Toyota or Honda. It's like it runs, right? But if you really want to make it fly, you gotta go like, you gotta add your I don't even know like a good, because I'm not a car person, but maybe I should have started with the analogy. But basically, you got to tune it. So add-ons are essentially like stuff that you add on to Blender that kind of gives you more benefits and more tool sets. So box cutter is amazing. Hard ops is amazing. I highly recommend this add-ons if you want to do any good modeling work in Blender. And I think if you want to take it to like a more polished level, especially if you want to render them out and turn into concepts or whatever, getting a good material add-on like Extreme PBR is also really good. A lot of these tools are what I use for MetalHeads as well, and they've been extremely helpful. So ballpark, yeah, I'm going to just rephrase what I mentioned earlier, but it's really hard to say because once again, the way that I work, I like to build parts independently and essentially build up a library, and then I start actually creating the characters. And I think that actually might be a better approach to art in general, because when I was younger, I viewed every artwork as an individual piece. And I'll be just questioning like, oh man, I've spent 16 hours on this or 100 hours. Why does it look like shit? But now I kind of just view all artworks as maybe one, like it's a lifetime of artworks. And so it really doesn't matter at this point anymore. I know that every piece that I make, if it's 5 minutes or 5 days, it's just a small drop in the lifetime of work that I want to produce anyway. So I do think like maybe that mindset shift actually is a good thing, because you kind of focus more on your entire career as opposed to a singular artwork.
There was
boom.
A lot of technical
mic
stuff.
Drop.
Boom,
Yeah,
mic
drop.
Yeah. Reminder, guys. Just reminder. You drop your questions, guys. Keep dropping them questions. We have some time left. Let's see.
Have we run out of steam? Is that what's happening? Like the questions have stopped?
The questions have kind of stopped. There are a couple more. Don't worry. But funny response to the Gears of War question. Wesley said, "Thank you, Daddy." That's just how we roll now.
What am I supposed to do with that? Yeah. You're welcome, son. Like, what is the correct response to that? Yeah. But Gears, we can talk about Gears, man. Gears is awesome.
By the way, we are ending in 10 minutes, so whatever questions you guys have left, drop them in. Let's see. Is there law in the Eternal City? We have spoken of the Eternal City. Can we have some hints of what's outside of Eternal City? Ooh.
Hmm. 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 I have, yes, actually seriously put thought to that, but it might reveal the other things. Well, let me just put it this way: like, I wanted to create a visual of like a world where, if you imagine the world map, right, and you had you had continents and all of the peninsulas and whatnot, but if every inch of it was developed with some form of urban life, um, it's essentially a hellhole, like a. Then you need to probably begin to ask like the follow-up questions, like, wouldn't there be islands still? And if the climate is so fucked up, water levels are rising, and maybe even the polar caps have melted to the point where the oceans are, I wouldn't say like inhabitable anymore, but the the waves and the torrential landscape of the ocean would be so intense. But what if? So there's a lot of that what ifs down the road. Like, man, I don't want to say too much, but um, and there is also like we can also start to talk about verticality of it as well, because Eternal City by name definition is very platonic, I suppose, right, across the ecosphere. Um, but if we start to go vertically, that's where it gets interesting.
Yeah, because it might inform the hierarchy of the world. So interesting, you bring up rising water levels. So there is a tinge of social commentary, right? So because we have the governments, we talk about governments, corrupt corporations. So was that a conscious choice?
Yeah, I actually don't really like when things have social commentary, actually. So, but yeah, ironically enough, is a lot of it in MetalHeads. But I was hoping to just tell it in the way that that's just the way it is, and that's kind of how I view the world as well. It's just always been there. It's not so much a social commentary; it's a reality commentary.
Right.
And I'm just multiplying the years essentially. We already have it now, so if we multiply it, we're just gonna get something that's way more graphic and maybe will be vivid.
That's just the reality of what exists, what already exists.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
And it's obviously it's fun. I don't know. I think it's fun. Like recently, right? Like Boston Dynamics like started adding like weapons on their Spot dog, or at least I think it looks like Spot. But I follow robot news naturally. Uh, but in case no one knows what I'm talking about, like Boston Dynamics is a robotics manufacturing and R&D company based in Boston, I assume.
Yeah, the videos have like millions of views.
Yeah, and they were acquired by Hyundai. And so now if you watch like a Hyundai advertisement, you see like the Boston Dynamics robots bowing. Talk about like Ashikaga, right? Was Korean.
Yeah, Hyundai is Korean. Let's.
I know.
Are we just gonna avoid the? Let's look at. We have a couple more questions. Hendrik is curious about your perspective of the impact of NFT to art. So, big question.
Yeah, it's a really good question. Yeah, seriously. I mean, at first I was really. I think I went through all of the, let's say, if there's equivalent of like what the 7 stages of grief, right? I think I went from like denial that NFT is not the real thing to um, even like just antagonizing like this thing is bad, like to really seeing like I think it started to really connect to me when the concept of ownership and the ledger, the whole minting process. I think that's where I'm at the moment. It's not for every kind of art, though, I have to say. And I think that's the beauty of it. Like, there's not supposed to be one form of value of art anyway. This is just another one form of it that seems to be pretty popular. And it would be rather foolish to not see it that way.
Yeah, because there are. Well, while NFTs are, I see it as a positive thing, but there are also negative connotations attached to NFTs.
Yeah, like what Bull mentioned with the pump and dump schemes and all that. That is a real concern. So,
and that's what we want to avoid. Let's see. Oh, now we've got a few more questions flowing in. Let's see. How screwed up is the life of the average citizen in Eternal City from the scale of 1 to Warhammer 40K?
Finally.
I like this question a lot. I think you like this. Yeah.
I've been like, I never mentioned, right, 40K as one of my inspirations, but yeah, Grimdark is Grimdark. Yeah. Man, you know what? Like, it would be so arrogant for me to say I'm even close to what Grimdark is. Like, it's such a legendary brand and IP, right? So I mean, sorry, like I'm speaking like as if everyone might know about this, but so we're talking about Warhammer 40K. So it's by Games Workshop, and it's a British-based company, and then they there's this phrase where in the grim darkness of the future there's only war, and it's the way that they describe the life of the people there is pretty harsh. Like, it makes the unclean look like on a holiday cruise sometimes. But yeah, like I hope to bring something different. I would say if there is a techno cult, like the 40K is like at its peak. I still want to bring some hard science back into it. I am a big fan of that. So I would say like the regular citizen, sometimes with Grimdark, there tends to be almost unnecessary suffering. I would still like to think that, like almost all sufferings, people doesn't really notice it. It's just part of their
reality, right?
Yeah, part of the reality. Yeah,
just how it is. Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's see. Claire says, I'm imagining total war scenarios where gangs fight over territories. That's a fairly accurate description. Would you?
Yeah.
Would you say? Yeah.
Yeah, we were really looking into, like, for the future, like more community influence. I need all the help I can get, even crafting these stories. And so definitely all out gang wars is one of them. And I want to really explore secret wars as well, right? Like things that are not all out. I personally like more of the espionage of things. And also, I love old school gang fights, right? Like with blunt weapons.
Have you ever been in a gang fight?
No, my life is pretty vanilla, man. Yeah.
Yeah.
As you might see from my love of 40K Boston Dynamics, it's very much a nerd alert, honestly. Yeah. But yeah, definitely all out gang wars is something that I really want to look into. I want to try and figure out like how it can be, something that we work in for our future plans.
Absolutely. Let's see. Chewy asks, how did you get the figurine manufactured? Did you 3D print the prototypes yourself? Can you explain the process?
Yeah. So I partnered up with a really good team in New Zealand. They're called Limbo Miniatures, and it was 3D printed. Like I said, it was 3D printed twice. It wasn't by me. I don't have, like, the printers that they use, the factories use, were like $1 million machines. They're really, really expensive. But it was the machines that would give that kind of fidelity that you need for a collectible. And so we just went through that whole process, right? I was the art director, so we had a 3D sculptor. So the sculptor would submit a piece to me. I would review it, give feedback, and art direct it, and then send it back. And then we did that for like several weeks, back and forth, to the point where we're all happy with the form of it. And then once we got the final prototype printed, it was basically sent to what we call Paint Master, where we got a person to paint the prototype, and that paint prototype would establish the framework of how the final product would be. So they would have to deconstruct like how many coats of colors, where do you apply the colors, how do you get a certain finish or texture, and then we'll standardize this across and then mass produce it.
Awesome. We've got about 10 minutes left, so let's try to get everyone's questions.
I think you said 10 minutes ago, actually.
But. Yeah, but we've got a few more questions flowing in. So let's see. Will there be another AMA? Yes.
Yeah, I actually like AMAs actually. You might notice that I don't post on the community. Most of the time, I'm busy in front of the computer doing the pieces.
Right.
But I think AMAs are nice because it's a bit quicker, and I can hopefully just try to explain the process a bit more. So yeah, definitely more of this if you guys find this actually entertaining and worth your time.
So just a few questions from. We have two more serious questions. But Grimlord asks: Is Jarold single? Am I single? Is show actually Japanese? I don't know.
I think you're in a very famous band that was big in the 90s, and you're the lead singer.
No idea what you're talking about.
Although your photo implies something else altogether. Another
also,
different...
no idea what you're talking about. No idea whatsoever what you're referring to. Will there be kind of like pets for metalheads?
What? No, they will eat pets. Well, okay, maybe I shouldn't speak so soon, but there will be. I'm curious to explore the idea of a companion. Let me just put it that way. But I wouldn't call them pets.
So there are companions, right? Cool.
I'm willing to explore.
We'll see.
I want to make sure. I stress that.
Stay tuned. You never know what's going to come out of Jarold's brains. Let's see. One last question. Would it be a thing, for example, that during those wars, one gang gets completely wiped out? So that's kind of a story thing down the line. But
that's interesting. That is very interesting. I honestly didn't cross my mind.
So
I guess but the more interesting question is like you don't necessarily, you can't necessarily kill off someone. Maybe you want to go political, like this is what happened to like ISIS and Al Qaeda, right?
Because ideology survived, right?
Yeah, you don't necessarily kill someone, so it might be a very interesting breeding ground for like what's in the future.
Right.
Yeah, give me a number, man. I should hire you for like ideas. Yeah, it didn't really cross my mind. That's a very good point.
We've got a couple more questions, but what do you think, Jarold? We leave it for another AMA, or we answer them now? What do you think?
I mean, we could do one or two more, I think.
All right. Will the metals currency be an actual crypto one day? Ooh, how do we monetize this?
It's a good question.
Say yes.
That would be nice, though, huh?
Yeah. Let's see. How is MetalHeads different from Mechaverse, which is another huge NFT
Mm. Well, I've only, I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, obviously, but I've only seen Metaverse as a surface level. I understand the concept that you kind of ride the machines or you're a pilot. I don't know what is the actual story behind it, to be honest. So if there is a story, then okay, I'm wrong in that case. But I know for sure, like MetalHeads is, I would say I am trying to build a world and a universe, and these are characters that mean a lot to me. Um, I think the only similarity is like they both have the alphabet M in the front.
Wow. Okay.
Fuck, is that too aggressive? Is that
yeah.
that's kind of aggressive, huh? Yeah, I guess I'm being protective.
Yeah, just like
It's
it's just the end. That's all.
Tad,
you know?
just a tad bit too
Yeah.
aggressive, yeah. Oh shit! I think someone left. Even I think that must be a Mechaverse.
Just angry,
Yeah.
just like
Yeah,
what did he
yeah.
say?
No, I mean Mechaverse is good. Don't get me wrong.
It's
Just
huge,
like,
yeah,
I don't
yeah,
think
but-
it's different. Yeah, I think it's very different.
Right, let's no fan wars, please, everyone. Let's
Yeah,
keep this
exactly.
civil and respectful.
Fuck yeah, I'm keeping
Yeah.
track. We were at 49 and it's 48 now. So like if I don't like monkeys, there's a lot of people gonna drop because all the ape fans. Oh my goodness.
Yeah, that's it for the AMA. Any final thoughts, Jarold, for all the folks listening?
No, I mean this is fun. I do hope we get to share a bit more.
Yeah,
I
down
know
the line,
I know that the brand and the NFT is still very much in its, you could say, in its infancy, right? The community is just grown up. But there's so much that we're working with, so many plans that we're trying to make happen, and obviously the drop is going to be a big deal. So yeah, thanks so much for hopping on this rather. I hope it feels spontaneous. I was pretty sure like I didn't want it to feel like a corporate announcement of like stuff. But yeah, I mean. The metalhead thing is something that is years in the making, and I'm very excited for all of you to be a part of it. So thank you so much.
Awesome. Everyone in general chat, just send Jarold some love. Thank you all for let's see, all 47 people who have stuck around for this AMA. Jarold, thank you for coming on board and talking to us all. Yeah, stay tuned, everyone. There's a lot more down the line. Let's hope that this becomes a huge thing, and then we can bring all your ideas to fruition. Yeah. So good night, good morning, good afternoon, wherever you guys are.
That's a nice Truman reference. Yeah.
There will be future AMAs, so don't worry. This isn't the only one. Jarold isn't gonna disappear. I hope.
Oh fuck no! Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm in it. Yeah.
So yeah, that's all. Goodbye.